Cartoon Network dominated the 2010s through numerous properties to the point where there has been some debate on what would be in the Mount Rushmore of Cartoon Network in the 2010s. For me, it'd be obvious, from the whimsical, fantastical, story-heavy journey that is Adventure Time, the dude bro comedy, slightly edgy, cultured, chaotic binge that is Regular Show, the trailblazing, emotional, vivid, character-driven dynamic that is Steven Universe, and the snarky, limit-pushing, comedic, meta, lack of stylistic unity that is The Amazing World of Gumball. Regardless of what you think about any of these shows in particular, one thing is for certain: if there was a show that mastered the art of being absurd, wacky, silly, but also super comedic, it has to be—
Take the wheel and get me closer! Closer! Wheel!
But we're getting ahead of ourselves here. Also plug in my Discord. So when we look at the search of the best so far, which was 10 months ago? Oh, I guess time flies when you're having fun. Did I say fun? I meant in a coma. I don't know how else I've been able to miss search for the best for this long. Why didn't anyone tell me? Anywho, let's reflect on what has been reviewed so far. We have an episode that's wacky, an episode that's wacky, and an episode that's wacky. I hope you see a pattern here. I know there's a lot of great, less wacky episodes, like the time a fish kissed a ghost, a cat kissed a shapeshifter, and the time the writers got as close to acknowledging your creepy fanfictions and fan art as they legally could. More on legal matters soon, but the best Gumball episodes aren't usually emotional. It is when it is trying to be silly, and the best silly episodes are often the simplest ones that really go out of their way to not be serious.
Hey guys! Oh, why the long face? Feeling gloomy?
One, his face is long because he tried to stretch his skin to make it look like he's too old to go to school. Two, no, Mom didn't buy it.
And three, yes, I'm feeling gloomy.
Take a normal bus ride. In some episodes, like The Best, the bus ride was a minor scene in that episode. Here, it is where you'll spend most of the 11 minutes. The beginning scenes mostly revolve around Elmore Junior High's everyman, Rocky, who serves as the plot's hint hint nudge nudge, guiding the kids of Elmore Junior High to suggest ditching school. To which I gotta say, it's not a hard task to convince the kids of Elmore not to go to school. Besides the implication that an adult is going to willingly kidnap a school bus full of kids to take them to a location that no other adult will know about, this is a great start. I hope I didn't ruin bus drivers for you. Now, while Gumball isn't exactly in a rush to get to school, others on the bus may be, and by others, I mean just Alan, because Alan is always a thorn in Gumball's side, but not for long.
Well, I think we should go to school so we can work hard and get the best possible start in life.
Anyone else want to go to school?
Nope.
What makes this a fantastic beginning is that it takes what would be the mundane and stretches it into the start of a whimsical adventure by accentuating the traits of characters that we've grown to love. This is season 4, and everyone on the bus has been introduced properly, including Rocky, and as Gumball's snarky, lazy personality bounces off of Rocky's optimism, a very common dynamic I might add, it makes for setting the scene of what is supposed to be a simple day. And I love all of the ideas they have of places they'd rather go instead, relating to their personality. Darwin's imaginative answer of being on the moon, Tobias wanting to go to the beach, and Sussy wanting to go on the
School bus!
We're already on the school bus.
This is the ride! Yippee!
However, this innocent idea of ditching is not some spur-of-the-moment suggestion. It was a setup. Dun dun. Now, as I scroll through Epidemic Sound to add some game show theme music, I want to ask you a question. If you were to guess who is the core of this entire wacky scenario, would it be A, Rob, B, the police, C, that one embarrassing moment you had in middle school, or D, the collective fathers of Gumball, Darwin, Alan, Banana Joe, Tobias, alongside Principal Brown? Well, if you guess C, then you might actually need some therapy, because it's not healthy to keep a memory like that so readily accessible in your brain, because it was actually D. However, there is a part that you really have to stretch your suspension of disbelief to keep your immersion. So Rocky makes one more stop, which involves getting the collective fathers of Gumball, Darwin, Alan, and Tobias alongside Principal Brown. I know it's impolite to make jokes about people's weight, but there's no way Richard's tub of lard, built like a refrigerator, 80 packs of Pepsis and Cheetos per day fat rolls, can in any way, shape, or form be any less obvious to see and notice. Get on the bus immediately. And if you disagree, here's a professional that agrees with me.
He's fat!
Now you may have wondered why when I mentioned the fathers of Gumball, Darwin, Tobias, and Alan that I didn't also mention Banana Joe. That's because he'd end up doing something so stupid.
Why catch the bus when the bus can catch you?
The binoculars made it look closer than it was. So I guess it's still quite fun.
That it actually rubber banded over into being the smartest idea in this entire episode for reasons that we'll get around to. However, I do want to say, there's nothing wrong with stupid humor, and I'll explain why right now. So the reason all of these men get into the bus is because they're trying to make a statement. Don't ditch school. That's why we decided to show you the dangers of ditching school by ditching school. It's completely dumb, but dumb humor can produce some of the best comedy. Now, I'm using the term dumb humor, but what the experts use is absurdist humor, a type of humor built on intentionally casting aside logical reason in order to amplify the ridiculousness of the situation itself. This is not to be confused with anti-humor or deadpan humor, in which the idea is to aggressively subvert the expectations of a punchline by not delivering, or by delivering it very, very plainly. Surreal humor can sometimes have no punchline, or just have one that doesn't make sense, even for the joke it conventionally was setting up. Let's take a look at an example carefully crafted by the gods of surreal humor. To some, that is just a waffle falling over. To others, this is the defining moment of surreal humor. And where you lie on this line is nowhere. It's a two-dimensional line. This can never exist in your environment. Like all humor, it's subjective, and Gumball is objectively hilarious. It's the type of humor that happens on a show that wished it was on the Mount Rushmore of Cartoon Network, but fails to grasp it when one of the cornerstones of comedy is not expecting the punchline, which ends up being the same anti-viewer sentiments in every single episode. But I digest. Did I say digest? Sorry, I'm really hungry right now. Hungry for a straight man.
Nobody move, or I'll be forced to use this.
It's a briefcase!
No, more than that.
It's a ticking briefcase!
No, more than that.
It's a bomb!
No, less than that.
Yes, we are legally obliged to say it's not one of those.
Speaking of those legal matters from before, I found it quite clever that in a typical Gumball fashion, they were able to walk up to the line of what's allowed on television and technically went under that, but not legally. It's what I respect about some of the humor in Gumball, because it's deliberately crafted as to where I'm sure a lot of people who grew up on it will find it quite funny, but it only gets more funny as you grow up, like early SpongeBob, Regular Show, and Phineas and Ferb. The reason I believe the team really mastered this type of wacky absurdist humor is because the situation here should not work in a reasonable environment. And they understood this, and they played up the illogical element of this to be hilarious and not annoying. The disguises are poorly planned out, the acting is horrible, and all of this assumes that Rocky is in on it. Because why else would Rocky continue to drive if there's a stick-up happening on the bus full of kids and they're deliberately ignoring him? However, when it comes to dumb humor, here's what you do with all of that pesky internal logic. Sometimes you can make some of the funniest episodes by not following internal logic. However, I've noticed in animation the best way to control that humor is the straight man, or in this case, straight cat, Gumball. He sees beyond the ruse, and neither his self-awareness towards the situation nor his ability to no-sell any of their actions ruins this episode. In fact, it makes it better because equally, this is important, the adults equally no-sell Gumball's self-awareness of the situation, and instead a lot of the reactions come from Gumball's peers.
Oh, come on, guys. It's obviously not about—
But it's ticking!
And masked strangers have taken over the bus! But they're clearly our parents trying to teach us some sort of lesson. Principal Brown hasn't even changed his name.
Yes, I have. I mean, he has. I mean, he hasn't. I mean, who is this Principal Brown?
Principal Brown is amazing here, really bringing out that energy he had in The Fraud, a season 3 episode where his overreaction to Gumball and Darwin realizing that Principal Brown has a fake diploma really sells that episode. He's the centerpiece of this crew. He also serves the most memorable lines of the crew. Despite everyone getting a little turn, he also plays off Gumball's self-aware disappointment the best. To maintain the ineptitude of the adults in the bus currently, Tobias' father, named Harold Wilson, fun fact, legitimately calls the cops who aren't clued in on the situation and claims to have taken a bus full of kids hostage for money. Speaking of clued in, you may ask why I don't take away points from the other kids not being clued into the fact that this hostage situation is a hoax. And that's such a dumb question. Did you not see my computer analogy from earlier? It doesn't matter that they don't see through the ruse. It only matters if they are funny while not seeing the ruse. If they aren't funny, then yes, this would be infuriatingly annoying, as you're setting up something that goes against logical thought and there isn't any humor to it at all, which is just bad writing for a show where you want to have it on a Cartoon Network. However, if they are funny, like this scene with Alan and Gumball, then you might have something.
Oh, come on, Alan. You're telling me you don't even recognize the balloon?
Wait, I do recognize him.
Yeah?
I saw him in our house last night.
Yeah?
On TV. Elmore's Most Wanted.
But let's address the elephant in the room.
It's a giraffe!
A long time ago, in a YouTube ecosystem far away, I posted my very first video, a Gumball video about the sweaters, in which I criticized the episode for being painfully unfunny and quite annoying. I know now that a lot of people actually enjoy the sweaters, and I do not. How can I enjoy when this group of people are being ignorant to the point of comedy, but not enjoy when that group of people are being ignorant to the point of comedy? Well, it's simple. I don't like Sarah.
You guys are crazy. No, young lady, you are the insane one here. Walk on the other side of the street, please.
This isn't a Sarah-centric video, so I'm gonna keep this short. Sarah is often, if not always, one-dimensional in a way that I cannot stand. I have an immersion-breaking disgust for her character, not because of what she stands for, but because oftentimes the reaction is just to deal with it and fulfill her fantasy to appease her purely for her entertainment. This is something that I abhor in the bottom of the barrel SpongeBob episodes, where SpongeBob creepily has despotic, oppressive, fake optimistic grip on the story and bends it to a predictable will that normally punishes a straight man, or should I say, straight squid.
What the?
What a lucky break! Now I have a captive audience.
I do think there are moments in the episode that I can see why it's funny, mainly the Richwood High students, but I only like a few Sarah-centric episodes, and even the ones I do like the shippening. It is still based on an idea that people bend to Sarah's will, but it isn't as bad as episodes like The Fan, which I will get to at some point. Speaking of points, the point is, it works here because the characters all play their role in a way that, while is illogical, has an internal logic to it that makes sense, and none of the characters are doing anything that's truly immersion breaking. In fact, Gumball isn't even as one-dimensional as straight men can be in surreal episodes like these, as he's not above regressing into the same chaos he indirectly acts above.
See? They're not scary.
You're right. We just need a leader to reason with. Someone brave. Someone who's not afraid to look the enemy in the eye. Someone who laughs in the face of danger. I would say you, Gumball, but you're obviously sick. Maybe Leslie.
No, me!
However, after listening to their soapboxing about skipping school, the police arrive, and we get to where this video started off at.
We are willing... Okay, too close. We are willing to meet your demands. I'll throw the money over in 3, 2, 1...
Now, I want to be honest with you, I kind of lied. Earlier I said that the core behind this ruse was the fathers, but in reality, it was actually the police. The police in this episode really make the entire thing shine because it adds legitimacy and creates this triple layer of Gumball self-awareness on the bottom, on top of the collective people on the bus's suspension of logic and reality in the middle, on top of the police's hyper-awareness on the situation, contrasted against the cartoony and often incompetent nature of them anyway. In Gumball. I'm talking about the police in Gumball. I swear, if I see one politically charged comment, they work in harmony because each dynamic is written to not overstep any of the others. And the also added dynamic of the police adds tension and excitement, as one could reasonably suspect the average viewer kind of understands what this episode is about at this point, and it's just nice to throw a monkey wrench in there and kind of just give it a little twist. And I realized I used a lot of big words in that last paragraph, so in layman's terms, episodes like these work the best when everyone is losing their The police legitimately work with the terms of the men who foolishly decided that an idea like this shouldn't have been ran by the emergency services, minus Banana Joe, who played 4D chess and stayed out of this, causing them to legitimately get the ransom money that they unintentionally demanded. Gumball uses this moment to say that the moral here is that crime pays. And I bet most children, when they hear this, aren't gonna believe that they can stick up the police for money. Any child raised in an environment that promotes at least 1% rational thought isn't going to believe that any of this should be fun followed, imitated, or praised. This is why I so passionately enjoy the character that isn't always a do-gooder, save the world, soapbox on a moral-esque character, because it is not the only way to have a great character that connects with not just the children, but the entire family. Sometimes taking the piss out of a situation in an accessible fashion can be an effective form of communication and entertainment. And I did not pick that term because it was British slang. In fact, I actually have this graph here that demonstrates the amount of children that committed a crime after this episode premiered. And I also have this graph here that shows how many graphs based off of fake data I made in this video. After the children gather enough confidence to figure out that their abductors are also some of their fathers, it was actually an intentionally underwhelming scene. They realized that not only did their plan suck, but that they also legitimately brought a bomb on a bus, being sort of a double twist.
Whose insane idea was this?
Stick to the pan or everyone dies.
Darn autocorrect. Stupid thing never works.
Rob?
Oh, now you remember my name.
Now, I want to be honest with you, I kind of lied, again. Earlier when I said the police were behind this entire ruse, they're not. In reality, it was actually Rob. It was always Rob. Rob being the twist villain is often appreciated because I believe he's often underrated in his less popular appearances within the show, whereas many people will speak about episodes like The Disaster and The Rerun, or The Future and The Inquisition. I feel like Rob was really good here. He felt diabolical, but also consistent on his journey of becoming noticed, which is a great touch. I wouldn't say that he stole the show with his appearance, as there are better appearances of Rob later down the line, nor would I say that he's the best character in this episode, to which, depending on the flavor of person you are, can either go to Gumball, Principal Brown, or Donut Cop. Personally, I think Donut Cop was amazing here. We also get an accurate representation of the process that happens when people decide to take for granted my open DMs on Twitter and Discord to directly send me requests when there are open and public avenues available all over my channel. Meanwhile, on this runaway bus, the stakes get even higher as Gumball decides to become a hero and fight Rob. A highlight of this is Rob explaining his intentions.
Thanks, man! Fighting on the wing of a plane is way more fun than math class!
This isn't supposed to be fun.
Wait, what? Then why are you doing this?
Because I'm a villain. What choice do I have? All I've got on my resume is laughing maniacally, monologuing about evil plans, and a major in Canadian history. I can't exactly go into catering.
Up to this point, the bus would have been his third major role, before his blow up into becoming a more prominent antagonist. Before this was the Nobody and the Nemesis, the former being his official reaction to being left in the void, supported by his cameo appearance in the void, seeking revenge on the Watersons for abandoning him, and the latter episode being an expansion on his newfound villain arc. In comparison, the bus is not that big of a leap, but it is important in the development of Rob because after this would come the Disaster and the Rerun, which I'd argue is peak Rob. Yes, even above the Future, and yes, even above the Inquisition. So while this isn't important in the grand scheme, taking some themes from the underlying premise of this episode, just like how the episode is simple, Rob's appearance is quite simple. And that gives a lot of space to what they can do with simple ideas, which based off of the great team that works on episodes like these, they made it very funny. Gumball then finds out why the Elmore police are worse than the police in GTA 5.
Oh, officer, help me! He's got a ticking briefcase!
Oh, come on. These are professional law enforcers. As if they're gonna fall.
You're coming with us.
Given that these are the same police that messed up in the season 1 episode The Spoon, yeah, Gumball, you really shouldn't have been so surprised. However, as we think Rob gets away with this, he actually runs off with the bomb, not the money, which causes him to explode back into the scene, getting arrested. Now, I'm not sure if they speak about their arrest, but I'm pretty sure he was able to get off with just a slap on the wrist, because of the greatest lawyer of them all, Phoenix the status quo. Love him or hate him, you can't debate him, because you'll be back at square one each and every time. It's episodes like this that show how Gumball has mastered wacky humor. However, there are other shows like American Dad and Family Guy, Johnny Test, Fanboy and Chum Chum, Robot and Monster, Phineas and Ferb that also have great moments of surrealism. However, I think Gumball did it the best, and that's why when it comes to carrying the flag of wacky humor, it was unrivaled in the 2010s on Cartoon Network because of episodes like this. Is it the best? Probably not, but I appreciate the request for it. So if you have a request for something that I should cover next on the Gumball Search for the Best, leave it in the comments down below. And until next time, take care. Alpha out.